Ooh, Alberta minimum wage is increasing to $15 an hour. $15 an hour on October 1st. October 1st, that's in like a week. In 1 week, Alberta minimum wage is going from, I think right now it's $13.60. $13.60, and it's increasing to $15 an hour. Wow. Okay, so you can say an hour or per hour. Okay, $15 per hour or $15 an hour. I think this one is more common. That's what I say. $15 an hour. Okay, now other provinces in Canada, the minimum wage is sort of between $10 and $14, somewhere in that range. So that means Alberta will have the highest minimum wage in all of Canada, all across Canada. Alberta will be the highest. Wow. Can you believe it? Do you want to come work here in Alberta and make $15 an hour in a few days on October 1st? Well, the question I would like to ask you is, do you think it's possible to live on minimum wage here in Alberta? Is it possible to survive? Well, I want to take a look at that, okay? So if you work full-time making $15 an hour, you will make $30,000 a year, okay? $30,000 a year. That sounds like a lot, right? $30,000. Okay. $30,000 a year is about $2,500 a month. $2,500 a month. Okay. So that means, every 2 weeks, bi-weekly means every 2 weeks. Okay. You'll make about $1,250. Okay. Bi-weekly and semi-monthly, those are two terms that mean almost the same thing. Bi-weekly means every 2 weeks. Semi-monthly means twice a month. So there's a little difference. There's like 1 or 2 days difference between bi-weekly and semi-monthly, right? So your paycheck will be around, $1,250. Most jobs in Canada pay every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, you'll get a paycheck. Some jobs, it might be once a month, and some jobs, it might be every week. Okay, I've had a job before where I got paid every week. Okay, but most jobs, it's every 2 weeks or twice a month. Okay, so wow, $1,250 for every paycheck. But that's not real. That's not real. It's always less than this. Did you know that? It's less. Why is it less? Well, it's less because of payroll deductions. Payroll deductions, okay? Here are some things that reduce the amount of money you actually receive on your paycheck. Okay, that's why they're called payroll deductions. These deductions get taken off before you get paid. That sucks. Right? You don't want deductions. Look at all of these things. Income taxes. You have to pay tax to the government. Union dues. Okay, some companies are unionized. That means the employees get together and form a union. That means they have some power in the company. Okay, so you might have to pay union dues, maybe like $50 or I don't know, however much the union dues are. It's probably not too much. Okay, and you have to pay CPP. CPP means Canada Pension Plan. Canada Pension Plan. You have to give the government money for the pension plan so that when you get old and retire, then you get a pension from the government. Okay, that's called the Canada Pension Plan. And EI. EI means employment insurance. Okay, you have to pay that. It comes off your paycheck. And that means if you lose your job, then you get money from the government. the government gives you EI, employment insurance money. Okay, it's not as much as your paycheck. I think it's about 60%. So it's only about 60% of what you were making. So that gives you some money so that you can look for another job, maybe whatever. Okay, but that's what everyone has to pay into, right? EI, CPP, all of these things, you don't have the choice. It's mandatory. It comes off your paycheck. Okay, so your paycheck will probably be around $950. $950, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of money taken off, right? It could be around here a little bit more, maybe a bit less, okay, depending on the situation, right? Now, your gross income will be about $1,250, right? But your net income is only $950. Okay, so these words are important: gross and net income. Okay, for example, if you go to a bank and you are applying for a loan, they might ask you, what is your gross income? What is your gross income? Or what is your net income? Okay, so those words are important. Okay, so if you're making $15 an hour, that means you're probably going to make about $1,900 a month. $1,900 a month. Can you live on $1,900 a month here in Alberta? What do you think? Well, let's take a look. I mean, rent here in Calgary and other cities across Canada is going to be $800 to $1,000 minimum. That's the minimum amount. Okay, so for example, my apartment here in Calgary, it's a basement suite, and I'm paying $825 a month. $825. And this is really the cheapest place I could find in Calgary. Okay, but most places, it's going to be more. And especially in bigger cities like Vancouver or Toronto, you're going to pay like $1,500, maybe $2,000. It depends on how nice the place is, right? Now, if you are sharing with other people, then it could be lower. It could be lower, right? So then you could pay maybe like $400 a month, $500 a month if you're sharing with someone. Or if you're sharing, with a few people, then it could be even cheaper than that. But you know what? Even if you're renting one room in a house, it's probably going to be like $400 or $500 a month. So it's expensive to live here in Canada. Now let's take a look at food. Food is probably going to be $300 a month minimum as well. $300. It depends on your eating habits. Do you eat at restaurants? I mean, then it's going to be way more than $300 a month. $300 a month is only $10 a day. That's very, very minimum. It might be $400, $500, $600 a month. Okay, let's take a look at car expenses. Now, car expenses could easily be $500 a month. Okay, maybe $100 for gas, maybe $100 or $300 for insurance, maybe a few $100s for repairs, oil changes, just different costs that come up from owning a vehicle. Here in Alberta, car insurance is much cheaper than other places in Canada. Some places, I know some people who pay $500 a month just for insurance. So, I mean, that really sucks, right? Here in Alberta, things are quite a bit cheaper. We have cheaper taxes. We have cheaper insurance. We have higher minimum wage. So actually, Alberta might be a great place to live. I'm not sure about grocery costs. I think in Ontario, groceries are cheaper than here, but I've never lived out there, so I'm not sure. Okay, $500 for car expenses, minimum. $300 for food, minimum. Like $800, $1,000 for rent. Now we're already at like $1,800 a month, right? 1,800. Wow. I mean, that means it's very hard to get ahead. It's very hard to get ahead. Get ahead means to make progress, Because if you're already at 1,800 and you only make 1,900, that means you only have $100 to spend on clothes, if you want to go watch a movie, or if you want to save money. We didn't even talk about savings. How can you get ahead in life if you don't save money, right? So actually, $15 an hour is hard to get ahead on. And there are a lot of people who make minimum wage here in Canada. Okay, most retail jobs pay minimum wage. If you work at McDonald's, or you work in a clothing store, or any retail job, those kinds of jobs are called retail jobs. If you work as a cashier in a store, or you deliver pizzas, or just anything, you're probably going to make minimum wage. So probably $15 an hour here in Alberta. Now, I know in a lot of other countries, $15 would seem like a lot of money, right? That's a lot, $30,000 a year. A lot of countries, that sounds great. But the thing is, in those countries, costs are also quite a bit less. For example, cell phone costs here in Canada, to have a cell phone, right? The cheapest monthly fee is probably about $40 a month, $50 a month. Whereas in a country like India, it's like a dollar or a few dollars a month, right? So, if you think you can just come to Canada and make more money, that's probably true, but your costs are also a lot higher, unfortunately. So, like I said, it's very hard to get ahead on minimum wage here in Canada. But I hope when you come to Canada, you can get a great job and you don't have to make minimum wage. But I just wanted to tell you that minimum wage in Alberta is going up to $15 an hour. Maybe you're interested in that. Hey, I want to know, what is minimum wage in your country? Tell me what minimum wage is in your country down there in the comments, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.